So then this afternoon I'm here with international motorcycle racer John McPhee. Good afternoon, John. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How's yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. It's fantastic to have you along. So you race in a category known as Moto3. Now, for people who are not so familiar with Moto3, it's the 250cc class, sort of the entry level class in international motorcycle racing. It's known as four-stroke 250cc motorcycles. You race in that. You've raced in it you've done sort of on and off for 3 years. You've just had your first season with Racing Team Germany. How would you review that? How would you review 2013 in a whole?
Yeah, 2013, first year for me stepping up into World Championship, so it's always going to be difficult. But yeah, gained loads of experience and loved the journey along the way. It was definitely a hard year, but step by step we made some good progress and finished up at the end of the year there with my personal best result of the year, which was a 7th position. So it was really good. We've managed to sign up a ride for next year, and for me, I think it was a fairly good first season.
I have to agree. I have to say the standout performance for me was at Brno when you were, battling with in the top 5 for the entire race. Absolutely fantastic performance. And you were racing the FTR Honda chassis. Now it's sort of your teammate Jack Miller, of course. He's been, hassling the front guys all season, and as have you been on some occasions as well. How people have been saying the Honda bike or the Honda engine has been underpowered. How has it been for you?
Yeah, the Honda bike, a lot of people could see it wasn't quite as competitive as the KTM. KTM just came in first year into Moto3 there when we changed from the 1.25 2-strokes up to the Moto3 4-strokes. They just put a little bit more budget in, and basically they came in with all guns blazing, and they were out to try and win the championship. So whereas Honda, they produced a more kind of a bike for the general public. It wasn't as expensive, and it was a good race bike which was shown on a few different occasions, but just wasn't so much budget put into it. So what Jack Miller done this year was really, really impressive. He was riding well. It was his second year in Grand Prix, and he knew what it was all about, and to be up there fighting with the front guys is really difficult. And like you said there, Bruno, we managed to stick with them, but the thing is with the Hondas, you have to just try and carry that little bit extra corner speed. And towards the end of the race, myself and Jack, both our tyres started to go off, so it was a little bit harder to stick with the front guys. But yeah, I think next year Honda should hopefully pull something out of the bag. They said there's going to be a few changes, so hopefully we'll have a little bit more horsepower.
Fantastic. Is that are you racing the full Honda bike next season? Is that with the full chassis and everything?
Yeah, next year it's a full Honda bike we're riding, so it should be a little bit more horsepower, like I said, and I think the chassis is fairly similar. It's based on the FTR, but yeah, it will be a full Honda bike.
Brilliant news. That's absolutely fantastic. I look forward to seeing you with RTG next season. Now, you've been you've been doing loads and loads of stuff since sort of 2010 when you made your international debut with you're backed by a company called Racing Steps Foundation, who are a non-profit organisation. Tell us how sort of your racing career came about and how you managed to sort of get the backing from RSF, if you would please.
Yeah, well, it was fairly difficult. As anyone knows who's tried to do any competition in motorsport at a high level, it is really difficult to get the funding. So basically, my racing started in 2008, just local stuff, racing in Scotland, and done a couple of northeast of England events as well, and that was all funded by my family. My mum and dad put a lot into it, and they kind of got me to where I was. They managed to get me through the Scottish level, then up to into the BSB. And 2009 we done first year in BSB, which was difficult for myself and for the family. And again, my mum and dad supported me 2010. But then going on to 2011, I was riding with a team called KRP, Keen Race Preparation. And they had 2 guys, Wayne Ryan and Fraser Rogers, in the team. Racing Steps did. So basically I got talking to them, and they seemed interested. So I was really, really fortunate and lucky to be able to pick up a Racing Steps Foundation ride. And since then things have just got much bigger and better, and they've really put me through the ranks. what they try and do is like a stepping stone. So I mean, they took me from British Championship up to Spanish Championship, and now I'm the first two-wheeled guy that they've put up into Moto Grand Prix. So I mean, they're doing a great job. It really is brilliant what they're doing for the sport, and yeah, really appreciate it.
I've got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you over the years, and I mean, you replaced Masbu, your first sort of big break in a sense, with the KRP chassis with the Honda engine. Came in 2012, and you replaced Masbu for the team you're riding for now, Racing Team Germany. How did that come about?
Yeah, basically, I mean, I was sitting at home watching the race, and so was my manager from Racing Steps, Peter Ball, and we had been kind of looking for a ride for the next season. So, I mean, we were always looking and seeing where the results were and what team was doing what, and it was really unfortunate that Masbu had a crash in testing just before a race event. So, Caretta Technology, they had a spare place for the team. So, it was a team that we were interested in for the following season, which was obviously 2013. So, I mean, as soon as they seen they had a spare bike sitting there, we jumped straight in the case, and we're really lucky to be able to pick up the last 5 races of the Grand Prix last year. And for me, it was the experience really. It was getting chucked in at the deep end, because I had the likes of Japan, Malaysia, Australia, and I'd never seen any of these tracks, and I'd never worked with a team before, and it was really difficult. But I mean, it got to let me know what it was all about, and kind of what this year was going to be about.
And I've got to say, it's been, like I say, it's been absolutely fantastic to, I mean, you know, a difficult position you were in, like you say, unknown tracks, unknown, well, not that unknown bike, but fairly, you know, a different bike to what you'd been riding at the time, I can imagine. So yeah, looking back to next year, so what are your ambitions going into 2014? What are you going to be doing to prepare yourself, and what would you like to sort of see at the end of it?
Well, I mean, 2014 for me started already. As soon as the Valencia race was finished, that was us looking ahead straight away, and I was really happy to be able to sign up with the RTG guys again, and obviously that's backed by Racing Steps again. So I mean, my physical training started already. I've been doing a fair bit down at the Porsche Human Performance Centre down at Silverstone there. These guys have a program for me which goes right across the winter, so I'm doing a lot of training back home here in Scotland. And again, we were testing out in Almeria, testing the bikes out there, and just trying to basically work with chassis and things like that, and get a better idea in which direction to go next year, so hopefully we can be more competitive from the word go. So, I mean, next year it's hard to say where you can be. I mean, this year's the strongest the Moto3 class has ever been, and the lap times, there's lap records getting broken all the time. So it's hard to say where we're going to be, but of course the challenge needs to be is in the top 10 as much as possible, and hopefully getting up there in the top 5 in the odd races.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat to us, John. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I'm really looking forward to watching you race next season. Hopefully I'll manage to run into you at Silverstone. I attended there this year with a paddock pass. Sadly, I managed to run into Jack, but I didn't manage to catch you, unfortunately. Hopefully I'll manage to do so next year. All right, cheers for chatting to us, John. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you'd like to add just before we go?
No, that's all fine. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Bye.